Starting off this part in the final 50 characters is one of the biggest heavy hitters in the MCU right now, and also a guy being added to the MCU edition list. It's Dr. Stephen Strange. He was briefly referenced in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but never made an actual appearance until his solo movie in 2016. More recently, he just received a sequel to his 2016 solo movie with Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness just 6 years after. But there are two variants of Doctor Strange, and this one is the one from the base game. As the Sorcerer Supreme, he has access to all of the magical abilities in the game. He understandably has mind control, telekinesis, great, even regenerative health. Some things that we don't see as much that Doctor Strange has is force field, but I've mentioned several times my feelings about that ability. But as you can see, Doctor Strange also has flight, and even little stars emit from him as he goes, which is neat. Finally, a bit of a surprise, but Doctor Strange's final ability is technology. I think it's a reference to his origins as a surgeon, but performing surgery on bodies and navigating technically advanced terminals are pretty different. Here's the only character that is associated with the Inhumans in this game. The Inhumans were actually in the MCU, technically, with their own show that lasted for one season before being cancelled. I'll be honest, I haven't watched it, but I'm told it's terrible. Crystal here is in that show, and one could argue that Crystal should go on the MCU edition list. However, seeing as how Marvel Studios is trying to sweep that dumpster fire under the rug like it never happened, I'm willing to bet that Feige doesn't consider Inhumans canon to the MCU. So I won't either. And before you say the Inhumans is canon no matter what because of the multiverse, I'm talking about the cinematic universe, not cinematic multiverse. But yeah, sorry Crystal, it's not you. It's your show. Anyway, Crystal is a bit of a jack of all trades. Crystal is described as being an elementalist, one who can control all four classical elements: fire, water, earth, and air. So she's the Avatar, basically. But let's go through her abilities in relation to the elements, shall we? For earth, she has dig. For air, she has flight and telekinesis. According to the wiki, she has aerokinesis, which means she can manipulate oxygen molecules to be able to lift things and herself. So it's technically not telekinesis, but both cases get things in the air. So sure, let's call it that. For fire, she has fire immunity and laser. And finally for water, nothing, because there's no water related abilities in the game. Well, there's ice, but I guess that's not good enough for TT games because Crystal doesn't have that ability. Crystal has two more abilities that doesn't apply to the four classic elements, those being agility and electricity. So yeah, as I said, Crystal is a jack of all trades, making her pretty useful. It's just a shame that she's going to be shunned by the MCU for being an Inhumans. We covered Red Skull a while ago, and I felt disappointed with him in this game. As Captain America's greatest foe, I expected him to have some more abilities or something. Luckily for us, the Avengers Explorer character pack gave us the Iron Skull, which redeems him in a way. The Iron Skull was seen in the Avengers Assemble cartoon, which was adapted into a Lego set, and that was used as a reference for this DLC. Red Skull used the stolen Iron Man suit and removed the helmet for some reason, so everyone knows that it's Red Skull in that menacing suit. I don't know, I feel like that Red Skull of his might be prone to damage, so removing that helmet seems kind of counterintuitive. But basically, with an Iron Man suit, Iron Skull has access to both Hydra abilities and Iron Man abilities. While Iron Skull retained the Hydra shield and explosive abilities that the regular Red Skull has, he doesn't have agility like the original Red Skull does. But to give up agility, Iron Skull gains technology, scan, laser, and flight, and that's more than a worthy trade to me. As part of the all-new, all-different Doctor Strange DLC, we have Dr. Voodoo, a totally subtly named villain. Voodoo's name is Jericho Drum, and in the first Doctor Strange movie, a guy named Daniel Drum fought and was killed by the main antagonist of the film, the dude played by Mads Mikkelsen. Now, I thought that maybe this Daniel Drum is the MCU's Dr. Voodoo, and that is what the MCU wiki says. However, I've read articles that theorize that the actual Jericho Drum will show up to avenge his dead brother or something, which is a much better scenario. It's not that I'm familiar with Dr. Voodoo, but it would suck for them to just throw away a villain like that, assuming Daniel Drum was the MCU's Dr. Voodoo. Dr. Voodoo carries this staff with a skull and a flag propped on it, and he has all of the magic abilities you'd come to expect, and is very similar to Doctor Strange in this way. Dr. Voodoo has flight, mind control, telekinesis, great, and regenerative health. The two non-magically related abilities are agility and cracked wall. Both of these I think Voodoo shouldn't have. Typically those with swords have the cracked wall ability, and that's already pushing it. But for a staff wielder to have the cracked wall ability, I'm pretty sure you'd break the staff before the wall. But this is a magic staff we're talking about, so who knows? And also, agility. He can fly. Why does he need agility? I don't know. Here's one of my favorite characters in the game. Seriously, if this was a list ranked on how much I like to play the characters, Fin Fang Foom would be near the top, if not number one. Fin Fang Foom is a humanoid dragon guy who has fought some Avengers in the comics, such as Thor and Iron Man. He's even made a few appearances recently, namely the Square Enix Guardians of the Galaxy game, but Fin Fang Foom resembled just a generic dragon as opposed to what you see in front of you. Fin Fang Foom is a quest giver and unlocked in Manhattan, which is weird, but seeing a giant dragon guy standing on the sidewalk waiting for you to talk to him is a bit off-putting. Fin Fang Foom is bound to end up in the MCU though, right? I hope so. But let's discuss Fin Fang Foom in this game and why he's one of my favorites. Firstly, let's get the formalities out of the way. As a big dragon guy with wings, Fin Fang Foom has the following abilities: flight, laser, cracked wall, strength, regenerative health, and immunity to fire, gas, and toxins. Now here's the interesting part. Fin Fang Foom has the size ability, but not to grow small, not even to grow big, but to grow huge. Fin Fang Foom grows to be the width of like an entire street in Manhattan, and you can even fly in this size too. Sure, you can't do anything but move around and fly in this state, but it's just so cool to me. It's unfortunate that you can't do this in actual levels, only in open worlds, but being able to grow that big is unique to Fin Fang Foom. Here's the other child of Wanda and Vision, aside from Speed, who we covered a while ago. Wiccan is also the newest addition to the MCU edition list, appearing in WandaVision as Wanda's fabricated child, and in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness as an actual multiversal version of the son of Wanda. Wiccan has a lot more going on with his powers than his twin brother. Speed has speed, and that's really it. But Wiccan takes more from his mother as a magic user. Strangely enough, Wiccan truly does blow his mom out of the water in terms of abilities in this game. While Scarlet Witch's only appearance in the MCU at the time of this game's release was one of its most recent, Age of Ultron. So Wanda was based off of her MCU version, but since there was no Wiccan in the MCU when this game came out, Wiccan was based off his fully established comics version. I bet if a LEGO game based on the MCU was made now, Wiccan would be a child and also at the bottom of the list with no abilities. But that is definitely not the case in this game. Wiccan has telekinesis and mind control, matching his mother in that regard, but in addition, he has flight, great, and electricity for his more useful abilities. As for his less impressive abilities, he has agility and regenerative health. I hope you like Iron Man like the rest of the general population, because the rest of this part and all of the next part is going to be just Iron Man. Now, there are so many Iron Man suits in this game. So many that I'm not even going to bother to giving you a proper count. Figure it out yourself if you're so curious. But most of them have the same set of abilities. There's 7 of them, which we'll come to be familiar with pretty soon. Except for this one, the Mark 40, along with a few others. We've seen it before with the Mark 25, where some of the Iron Man abilities that he would have were replaced with just dig. The Mark 40 does have its unique quirk in exchange for another classic Iron Man ability. The Mark 40's quirk is that it allows Iron Man to have the speed ability. The Iron Man wiki states that this suit has the high velocity suit upgrade. So it lets Iron Man run fast, but strangely it doesn't let him fly faster like it apparently should. Aside from the speed and flight, the Mark 40 Iron Man has all of the standard Iron Man abilities, so there's scan, repair, laser, shield, and technology. Now, I like these gimmick suits that they have in this game. Like, yeah, speed makes you go faster on ground, but when the Mark 40 also has flight, it renders the speed ability kind of null, except for those blue and white speed panels. Here's yet another gimmick Iron Man suit who falls into the same category as the Mark 40. I feel the same way about this suit as I did with the Mark 40, in that I think it's cool and all, but the trade-off just isn't worth it to be ranked higher than the other non-gimmicky Iron Man suits. It's the Mark 16, otherwise known as the nightclub suit. This suit has the stealth ability, while all other Iron Man suits obviously don't. The stealth ability is good and all, but the laser ability is sacrificed in order to make the stealth ability possible for the suit. Laser is so much more useful than stealth. Aside from stealth and the lack of laser, the Mark 16 shares the same other 6 abilities that the Mark 40 has, aside from its speed ability. I don't even feel the need to list them all again, because we are about to be very, very familiar with them in the coming segments. What better for placement number 42 than the Mark 42? We're done with the gimmick suits. We are now reaching the stretch of Iron Man suits that are exactly the same in terms of abilities. It is now the time I start ranking the suits by how they look rather than how they play, since they all play the same. So all I really have to go off of are the cosmetics. Now let me preface, I don't really have a problem with any of the designs for the Iron Man suits. They're all on a spectrum between cool and serviceable. There's no real ugly suit design to me, but that being said, this is the Mark 42, the main suit that we see in Iron Man 3. Since this is the least of the Iron Man suits with the standard set of abilities, this is the most alright suit design. Again, I don't have a problem with it at all. I just like the other suit designs better. I can't really place what it is about this suit. I think it's the weird beige color that replaces the gold in the standard color scheme that throws it off for me. The abilities of the Mark 42 and most other Iron Man suits are the following: flight, scan, repair, shield, laser, explosive, and technology. Get that set of abilities in your head, because I will rarely repeat them over in the course of the next 11 segments. Next up on our list is the suit of armor Tony Stark donned during the Chitauri invasion in the first Avengers film. You know that phallic looking piece of metal that flew after Tony when he was thrown off the Avengers Tower top floor through a window by Loki? Yeah, this is that suit. Looking at a picture of it, the Mark 7 does look a little more bulky compared to most other suits. However, in this game, that bulkiness is just not prevalent enough to be reflected in this game, so the Mark 7 kind of just looks like the suit we see in the very first Iron Man film, the Mark 3. But lucky for us, the Mark 3 isn't in this game, so there isn't any confusion involved with both of them having a circular reactor. This variant of Iron Man is probably the one that most people think of when they think about Iron Man, and one of the most realistic looking. Is it just me, or of all of the Iron Man suits that we see in Age of Ultron and later on, all look a little too fake with the CGI? It's weird that the first Iron Man film, which is also the oldest MCU film, has the best Iron Man suit CGI, as in, looking the most real. I guess in Age of Ultron and especially Infinity War, there's already so much CGI everywhere with both the villains and other superheroes that need CGI, so they had to cut a bit down on the Iron Man CGI budget to make Ultron and Thanos look good, and Hulk and the other guys, whatever. I don't know. All I'm trying to say is that Iron Man at least looked pretty good and realistic in the first Avengers film, from which the Mark 7 appeared in.